So I see these people on YouTube. They do these car videos. I thought I'd try one out. So I'm currently driving. It is 10:16 in the morning on Sunday. I think it's June 1st, 2025. And I am driving from my house in Killeen up to my best friend Joel's house up in Fort Worth for the second weekend in a row. Although this time I didn't need to take the truck to finish off the rear brakes on his 91 Mazda RX7, which has been delightful car, but it has been real fun to try to get parts for. Apparently, I don't know if they didn't sell very many, or there aren't very many left, or maybe because we're not in my Joel and my home state of fuck California. If maybe you'd have more parts in that area, but something as simple. I would have had the damn thing done last weekend, but it was the left rear upper caliper guide pin boot was torn. So you can't get one locally within 150 miles, even though it's like an $8 part, because RX7, or say early 90s RX7. So, and it's a caliper style that apparently Mazda did not use on any other vehicles of that era. It's also very strange because they're rear calipers that have two fucking bleeders, which is the damnedest thing I've ever seen in my life. An upper bleeder for removing air or purging air from the system, and a lower bleeder for I don't fucking know what. I watched a couple videos online. It said something about speed bleeding. Okay. The fuck? So, I don't even know what the hell that is. I have a vacuum bleeder, and I still don't know what the fuck that is. So, yeah, it's just the rears, not the front. Fronts have normal bleeders that are on top of the caliper to purge the air out. Just normal, just fine. It's just the rears only. And they have two fucking bleeders. One that aims down, and one that aims just barely at a slight incline to get the air out. Anyway, we already we already bled all four calipers and the entire system to get his green DOT4 fluid, which it calls for DOT3 brake fluid from the factory, and for reasons beyond my fucking comprehension, I've never dealt with DOT4 or 5 in my entire goddamn career, and I've been wrenching on cars somewhat professionally since 2007. I have yet to run across a vehicle that requires DOT4 or 5, and or run across anyone who's decided that it'd be a real good idea to take DOT3 out and put 4 or 5. You can't put 5 in anything. It's silicone based, and that's for, I would imagine, extremely high performance vehicles, because it has a higher boiling point, I believe, for like racing applications, which is why if you're my retarded ass, you don't work on anything that comes anywhere near the income level that someone could afford to take a vehicle to a track on a regular basis. So, yeah, you ain't running into no fucking DOT5. I can't recall that I've ever seen anything. I never ran across or seen a vehicle with DOT4 either OEM specified or that anybody put in it. So, and this shit was like green. My friend said that some years ago, because the car has mostly sat for like a decade, some years ago, some fucking retard in LA told him it was a good idea to swap out DOT3 for DOT4, which I suppose if you're going to track, go to the track on the weekends maybe, might be a half-decent idea, I guess. You'd also and he also upgraded the brakes to like rotors that had holes in them and shit, the cross drill, whatever the fuck I call them. Which is interesting because my understanding is incomplete, but still, my understanding is that if you're on a track, you want the holes to cool the brakes, but what you really want is the slots, because if you're braking repeatedly at high speed, it builds up this little layer of like gas between the brake pad and the rotor, and you need somewhere for that gas to escape, and so you need like slotted channels. At any rate, his car is just a base level fucking RX7, so it ain't got even a turbo. So there's nothing particularly special about it other than obvious sentimental value, and it's a cool car. But it has no other modifications on it other than tinted windows. So, and he doesn't take it to a track, although he's got wheels and tires that would make you think he does, and an exhaust system that would make you think he does. But yeah. So I told him a few weeks ago, I just put regular fucking rotors and pads on the damn thing. If I could have gotten Akibono pads from Japan, I would have. Rock Auto didn't have them. So I don't remember what fucking company I ended up using, but the number of available suppliers for this fucking RX-7 on a lot of different parts is astonishingly low. Like, there's more options for my dad's 1980 Datsun 210 wagon, which I know they sold less of those fucking things than an RX-7, because an RX-7's a way cooler car, even without the turbo. So, I don't know what the fuck. We had to get bearings from fucking Japan, because the bearing races, or the bearings were toast, and the bearing races were also toast. They were actually free spinning in the hubs. I've never seen races free spin in a hub. I still don't understand if that's factory design or what the fuck's up with that. Never seen that shit either. First time working on them. I've touched a rotary engine when I was in tech school. Just, you know, like I had one on an engine stand. So you tear it apart, you put it back together, but you're not really, you know, you're not really trying to make the thing work for a customer. You just sort of an exercise. That's about my level of experience with rotary vehicles. I own two Mazdas, including this Mazda 2010 Mazda 5 I'm driving right now, and the 2007 Mazda 3 that I have. One of those is a 2.0 four-banger, and this one's a 2.3-liter four-banger with a stick. Because manual transmission, motherfucker. But, yeah, that's about the limit of experience I have with fucking rotary shit. I mean, I'm well-versed in it. I could probably, you know, give me a shop manual, I could take it apart and put it back together again. As long as I can get access to parts, not a problem. I'm kind of like that with anything. I can figure pretty much most shit out. There's very few things I've noticed that really in the automotive repair field outside of computer shit. That's a whole nother level. But as far as the mechanical shit or body shit, basic body shit, not actual body repair or repainting. Body work itself is an art form that takes a level of skill and experience. Reprogramming modules and shit to like tune stuff, that is an art form. Takes a lot of experience and you know, probably fucking up a bunch of times before you get it right. Mechanical work, not, except for AC, not really all that. It's not really all that mentally difficult. Physically difficult, especially if you're dealing with shit that requires you to be underneath a fucking dashboard, which I hate with a passion. But anything underneath a car, not really all that difficult, being honest. So this is the first time I've ran across this shit with dual bleeders on rear calipers. That's the damnedest thing I ever saw. I would love to talk to somebody at Mazda and figure out what the fuck was up with that. Like I said, I looked in the Rock Auto catalog, and as far as I could tell, no other Mazda vehicles from the late 80s, early 90s. I checked the Miata. That's got, if I saw correctly, I believe the Miata has rear single piston calipers that just push in with the squeezer. Or the single piston brake caliper tool, which I have. I also have a double one. Also, I used to have a quad one, but you never end up using those. But the base level of this car just has basic single piston front and slightly smaller single piston rear. The turbo version of the car has quad piston front, and I actually don't know what in the rear because I haven't seen that one yet. But Joel's actually got a set of spare calipers from the quad piston from the turbo version in LA. He's got he got a massive pile of parts and the original engine that goes in this car. This one, I guess, was replaced. The original engine was removed, needs to be rebuilt with new apex seals. which at some point, if we ever fucking go to LA to get all his shit, we will take care of. But, yeah. Tried to go get his shit numerous times. Just logistical fucking issues. I'm like, dude, just... Yeah, he's my best friend. I love him like my brother. He's the only family I really have outside of my adopted family. And, like a brother from another mother since 10th grade. And I'm like, dude, just give me a fucking key. I'll drive out there. Give me a key in like your van, in your Toyota Sienna van. I'll drive out there without a trailer, and then just outside of LA, because it's like hundreds of dollars cheaper to get it outside of LA. Pick up a U-Haul, drive it into to your parents' house in Arleta, and fucking get all the shit. Throw it in the back of the trailer, drive it the fuck back here. You don't have to pay me nothing. Just pay for the gas and put me on the insurance policy for your van, and let me borrow the van for a week. That's it. And we were going to do that end of last year, and fucking logistical issues never ended up happening. So, at any rate, yeah, I'm on my way up to Fort Worth to deal with this fucking bullshit. Torn boot. I would have had it done last weekend, except for a torn fucking boot. And of course, you couldn't get anywhere within 150 miles from any of the big chain fucking auto parts stores and any other shit. So, 2-hour drive up there. I love going to his house. But, we need to fucking move closer to them. Because, first of all, I don't want to be in a city anymore. I'm tired of having my next door neighbors. And my entire street is full of wonderful fucking people. But I'm an individualist. I don't like looking out my window and seeing my fucking next door neighbor's house 10 feet away. I grew up in Los Angeles from age 7 to 17. From age 7 to 17, I lived in a building. It was in North Hollywood. That was a 10 townhouse unit building. And so, like, my bedroom looked across a concrete patio at someone else's fucking window. And then if you went in, like, the bedroom of my adopted father and my now deceased, thank God, cunt of an adopted mother, you would look out the window of their bedroom and you would just see the next building, like the next, condo apartment building on Whitsett Avenue between Burbank and Oxnard. You see that basically 8 to 10 feet away. Like living in New York. You look outside your window and you see nothing but another fucking building. It's like, I hate that shit. I want to have like half an acre to 1 acre, maybe 2 of land, where I look out my window and I don't see other motherfuckers around me. That's, I know they're there. I just don't want to see. I want to die on my own land where I'm not looking at someone else's fucking shit next to me. Like, I'm never gonna own, hundreds of fucking acres out in Montana or some other shit. I just half an acre to like 1, to 2 maybe acres. I don't even need 5. Just need somewhere between a half an acre and 2 acres. To have a little barn dominium, little tiny shop, and then on the same property, little tiny house for our now 17-year-old autistic son who will never be able to live on his own, much less be able to hold a job, much less ever be able to talk to a woman at all, much less ever be able to convince a woman to date him and or marry him and or procreate with him. So, with my son comes the end of the Blackburn line, unfortunately. There are many people on this planet who would think that that's a wonderful thing. Because I'm kind of a dumbass, but, it is what it is. But yeah, I want to be away from other people having the ability to tell me what I can or can't do with my property. Most especially fucking women. Because it's always fucking women. I currently have 2 Datsuns in my, 10 to 15 foot-ish deep backyard. I have 2 fucking cars inside the fence line of my backyard because you can't park either one of them on the street because they're not legally registered because, long story, but they're not, neither one of them is runnable. One of them's a donor parts car, and the other one is my dad. My biological father's. Is a whole fucking story on that. That was written by the Las Vegas Review-Journal in 2018, in July, something like that. But yeah, it used to be, we moved here, thought I'd be able to just park them on the street. Nobody would be fucking bothering me. There was project cars all over the, surprisingly, non-HOA, because fuck HOAs, subdivision. I figured, I see other cars people are working on, they got long-term projects and shit, fantastic, we'll be good here. I park them on the street, less than a year later, fucking City of Killeen code enforcement called out numerous fucking times by somebody who they always remain fucking anonymous, because that's how women work, because it was a fucking woman, it's always a fucking woman. And if it isn't a woman, it's a man who thinks like one. Which is basically the same goddamn thing. Calling up city code enforcement to rat on your ass. And you have, 2 cars that ain't hurting nobody. Just parked outside your house. They're not in anybody's way. The neighbors don't give a shit. But nope. So yeah. I'd like to just have my own little fucking land. Driving here through, where are we at now? Fucking, exit 322 on I-35. Not exactly sure what city this is. Somewhere between Temple and Waco. But yeah. Lorena, there we go. Lorena, Texas. So, I'm not used to doing these little videos. It's actually the first one I've ever done. Keep getting suggestions from a few people. I don't know why anyone would be interested in anything I fucking have to say about anything at all. I mean, I endlessly rant on fucking social media, especially Facebook and Twitter, fuck Instagram. But on those two, I don't expect anybody to read anything I write. It's one of those where you can try to talk to the wife about shit, but even the best of women cannot handle criticism about women. And at this point, I have found throughout the course of my life that like 99% of problems in my life, actually that's not fair, probably about 80 to 85% of the problems in my life have been caused by fucking women. Which is why I just hate feminism. Because the reality is that they sit there and just endlessly claim victim while they control everything. As it states right now, my adopted cunt of a fucking mother died earlier this week, and they're having a family gathering in LA, even though everybody in LA hated this woman, including her own sister, her cousins. They all put up with her ass because she's technically family, but nobody liked her. She was banned from my cousin Matthew's wedding. She was only allowed at my cousin Nick's reception in 2015, after the wedding was in Spokane, Washington, but the reception was in LA. And she was, her name was Sharon Lawrence, the adopted mother. But she was only allowed at that reception for my cousin if she promised to basically not start any bullshit with me. Which she didn't, to her credit. But, like I said, 2018, she was actually banned from my cousin Matthew's wedding because she had stolen a Armenian saint. I want to say Gregory? Can't remember off the top of my head, but it's an Armenian saint, and it was a necklace that my adopted grandpa, Tahmizian, wore. And when he died, it was supposed to go to my younger of my two adopted cousins, Nick, and my adopted mother fucking took it and had it in their house for years. They found it last year when they finally had to put her fucking ass in a nursing home, cleaned out the house, and eventually sold it. The house was in Studio City, and they finally got a bunch of stolen shit back. But at any rate, I wanted to go to LA to this thing for the adopted cunt of a mother. Wanted to go to LA for this thing for two reasons. One, not to necessarily tap dance on a grave, because it's, you could say that it's rude or that it's, no, it's just, it's pointless. By outliving the woman, I won the war. So, fuck her. Okay? So, I mean, I've struggled with depression my entire life. Yeah, you have those dark thoughts every fucking day you wake up. You're like, you know, my problems would just go away if I just wasn't here. You know, as a man, and I think every man suffers with this, but as a man, you know, you fight these demons off your entire life. And, you know, it's the reason I don't own guns, is specifically to prevent myself from self-deletion. And this has been my entire life. I'm 44 now. I am the biggest supporter of Second Amendment gun rights that you will ever find, but I will never own guns. Because, like I said, my entire life has just been one giant depressing fucking failure for a lot of shit. So, you know, having guns near me, probably not the best idea. You know, you have a couple of really bad days, and all of a sudden that starts looking like a real good solution to problems. Yeah. So, I'm a huge fan of guns. I've shot guns. My best friend Joel has guns. I'm just not going to own any. But, yeah, back to the LA situation. I wanted to go out there. Basically, one, as a man, women will not understand this. But as a man, there is a certain satisfaction. It's not joy, and it's not, you know, elation or celebration that someone died. It's the satisfaction of seeing one's opponent fail and leave this earth knowing they failed. It's a guy thing. I can't explain it to women in any way that would ever make any sense. Women probably think that's horrible. I don't really fucking care. But there's a certain satisfaction as a man in seeing your opponents lose to you. The old phrase used to be, you know, to let the light, until the light leaves their eyes. So I wanted to go to LA basically to just see that woman, because she was cremated, or gonna be, to see that woman in a box and go, and have the thought in my head going, good, that's over with. I can close this chapter of my life and never think about that cunt again. That was my primary goal. Okay? It's not to interfere. The few people that actually gave a fuck about this woman, and really nobody. There's people pretending to give a fuck about this woman, because now there's 1.0 to roughly $1.3 million of an estate involved. So, you know, people, particularly this woman's cousin, Elisa, was otherwise generally, from my understanding, experiences I've had with her over the years, a pretty decent person of pretty decent moral value. But, you know, you get money involved and it just turns, it doesn't matter who it is, it turns people into assholes. Money corrupts, dude. So now, you know, everyone's like, well, and so Elisa told my Aunt Palma, who's this, you know, the deceased woman's sister, that she didn't want me in at this funeral thing, family gathering, whatever the fuck you want to call it, and she didn't think it would be appropriate, and it wasn't what, you know, the adopted mother, Sharon Lawrence, would have wanted. Well, the reality of the situation is, 20 fucking years ago, in 2005, my adopted father passed away, and I wanted to see him. I wanted to fly, when we lived in Wisconsin, I wanted to fly out from Wisconsin and see him in the hospital before he died. And my adopted cunt of a mother threatened to have me arrested if I did that. Also, there was a nurse at the hospital at UCLA in Westwood, UCLA Hospital, that, because I was the next of kin, was giving me info about my adopted father's condition and everything else like that, and my adopted cunt of a mother found out, and she had that nurse fired. So this is who you're dealing with. This is who just died. So you'll forgive me, I don't really give a fuck what Sharon Lawrence would have wanted. I just don't fucking care. Because she didn't care about anybody but herself. which is, hilarious statement coming from me. I'm a massive individualist. Fuck the collective group. However, there's a short list of people in this world that I give a fuck about their opinion of me or anything else. And everyone else, the entire rest of the planet can fuck off. But that very short list of people includes Joel, my Aunt Palma, my cousins, Matthew, Nicholas, adopted, and a few other people. My wife, obviously, my son, and a few other people. But this woman didn't care what my adopted father wanted 20 years ago when he was on his deathbed. I never got to see a will. I never got to see anything. The most I got from Sharon in the mail was a couple of fucking ties. Oh, and a check for $7,000 because there's a long story with this. I'll go into it in another video sometime. But this woman stole $33,000 from me in 1997 from my birth father. Long story. And they owed it back. And so that was supposedly the $7,000 we got in, I think it was 2007, 2006, 2007, was like supposedly the final payment of the $33,000 that was owed. Again, long fucking story about that. But anyway, that's the most we ever got from her. She didn't give a fuck what my adopted father wanted. She didn't let my adopted father see his own birth sister in a hospital without her in the room monitoring it. Like, you're dealing with the absolute worst of the worst qualities of women, of needing to control fucking everything. That's what this woman was. And, I get accused by a lot of people of hatred of women. Well, first of all, as a man, I am programmed by the factory to think 180 degrees opposite of women. So it's not hatred, it's I am the opposite of you. Therefore, the way that you think is not only unusual to me, it's more or less morally repugnant in a lot of situations. Women tend to prefer the collective group. They want everyone to get along, etc., etc., etc. And as a man, I go, no, there's the right thing to do, and there's the wrong thing to do. And giving a fuck about this dead woman's feelings is the wrong thing to do, because during her life, when other people who loved my adopted father had, feelings for him and cared about him, she didn't give a fuck about what any of them wanted. So, scales of justice, why should I give a fuck what she wanted 20 years later when she dies? Logical. Right? Down to the core. I don't hate Sharon Lawrence. I just don't fucking care about what she would have wanted. So I wanted to go out to LA. I wanted to be present at this family gathering, whatever the fuck they're gonna call it, luncheon, something, I don't goddamn know. And, because of a woman protecting another woman who made horrifically bad decisions and fucked over a lot of people in her life. So because of two women, I can't go to LA to go deal with that shit. What would have been, I believe, next weekend or the weekend after. And then on top of that, I said, all right, fine, at least just give me, a box with the cremated remains of my adopted father. Fuck it. Whatever. The estate and the, $1.0 to $1.3 million or whatever the fuck it. I highly doubt I'm going to get any of that anyway. And if I do, I don't know. Who cares? I was born into this world with fucking nothing, and I've got damn near all of it left. So, the money would be nice, in the interest of my own family, but, my wife and my kid, but that's not the important bit. The important bit is that I cared very deeply about my adopted father, and the last thing he would want is to have his ashes intermingled with her fucking ashes, because she controlled his entire fucking life. It's a lot of shit that I would have to explain, but basically, she's a fucking succubus. It was her third husband. She was 10 years older than him. Just a lot of bullshit involved, but she controlled his entire fucking life. She didn't care what he wanted his entire life. She didn't care what I fucking wanted either. Ooh, people on the side of the road. Ooh. Anyway, she didn't care about any of that shit. And so, you know, her last wishes, demanding that everybody cares about what she wanted. And it's like, nope. And then you run into these women that are like, well, this is what the will says. Okay. I don't fucking care what the will says. Just because something is legal or whatever doesn't mean it's right. What is required in this situation, because there's no court intervention in the distribution of the estate or the will, at least not yet. Although people keep pushing whatever. I don't even want to go there. But, you know, just give me his box. Give me the box with Brett's cremated remains. That's my adopted father. That's what I asked for. That's what I want. That way, I can rest. No, you know, I not rest. I can have that in my possession, knowing that woman in her life and in death failed to have a control of him for eternity. And that request, of course, because women, is not being fucking honored. And unfortunately, my Aunt Palma is caught in the middle of all this shit, because Palma is probably the person most negatively affected by the actions of her own sister. You know, all these years, fucking 7 decades of bullshit since 1946. Well, actually, since Palma was born in the 50s. And so, you know, Palma's in the middle of this thing between, if you want to call it that, between me and, you know, their cousin Elisa. Because their cousin Elisa is the, you know, is going to get all the fucking money and all of the property and whatever the fuck else. And I'm like, you know, whatever. It is what it is. You know, in that respect, yeah, fucking Sharon beat me. You know, I don't get any of the money that it fucking owed, and whatever. Just give me a damn box with Brett's cremated remains in it, and we'll call it good. Okay? Can't get that deep. Well, you know, his ashes are being intermixed with hers, and they're going to be spread at the beach in front of the, you know, Ritz-Carlton Laguna Niguel, a place that he didn't give a fuck about. She did, he didn't. And so, like, I'm just, you know, all these fucking thoughts in my head about all this bullshit while I'm driving up here to fucking Fort Worth about this whole situation. That, you know, again, I sit there and I see women all over online all the time. Victim, 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 victim. Meanwhile, in my own personal life, a woman had complete control of the life of my adopted father, including on his deathbed in 2005. He died from complications of open heart surgery, caught pancreatitis or something. I was never allowed to actually go, so I didn't witness what actually happened. But he died in like late August, early September 2005. And for the last 20 years, this woman has had possession of his body, all of his fucking money. And now, you know, in death, instead of turning that money over to me, any part of it over to me, who she fucked over, along with Brett, or giving any of the money to Brett's family, Brett's sister, you know, to try to heal any part of the damage done by this fucking woman. No. All of it goes to Elisa. Elisa doesn't have to use the money to do anything to try to undo the damage to numerous people's lives. Brett's sister, Brett's cousins, Brett's parents, Sharon's own fucking family. Any of it. She didn't have to undo any of that shit. Nope. Instead, cousin Elisa's just gonna take the money and do whatever the fuck, you know, for her kids and shit. Like I don't give a fuck about me. Like I said, I was born with nothing and I've got all of it left. You know, I'm fine. I mean, I'd be happier with money, but I'm fine. What you should do with all of the remaining things that you got from Sharon is give them to people whose lives she fucked. To try to undo as much as you can of the damage of this woman's 7 decades on this planet, causing fucking hell for all kinds of people. That's what should be done with the remains of the estate, and Brett's remains should go to me, so that I can then either, if I can find a little fucking Lutheran church in Ahwatukee, Arizona, where Brett's mother, my adopted grandmother, on his side, has her ashes interred in a little Lutheran church somewhere in Ahwatukee, Arizona. Last time I saw it was 1998, so I have to find it. But anyway, that's where Brett's ashes should go, next to his mother. Or to his sister Gwen up near Seattle, or to his cousins, or to someone in his family, or buried next to or with his adopted father who he loved up near Seattle. Like somewhere in Brett's family. But instead, this bullshit. And like I said, you get all these women online claiming endless victim, and yet right now, at this very moment as I'm saying this, I've been fucked my entire life by Sharon Lawrence. I'm now also getting fucked by her cousin Elisa. That's 2 women. And then, unfortunately, because Palma's in the middle of that whole situation, and Palma's the ultimate decider of whether or not I'm allowed to go to LA to go to this fucking thing. Palma doesn't want to cause any bullshit. So then Palma has to make the decision to tell me, yeah, you can't come. So now you got 3 women, including one that I love, have a family relationship with, and think the world of her. I love Auntie Palma. But Auntie Palma's in a position of having to do some stupid shit because other people are forcing her to. So you've got a woman who controlled a man until the day he died, and then the day she died. Then another woman who's in control of all that. Then another woman who's in the middle. You got 3 women at this very moment. 3 women in control of not only one man, but 2 men. Me and my the cremated remains of my adopted father. So you got 3 women in control of 2 men. And people wonder why I just go off online endlessly about fucking dealing with women. Like, I read this shit on feminist pages and I'm like, you're all full of shit. You're not fucking victims. You have control of everything, including the culture. Including situations at this very moment. Where 3 women are in control of whether or not I'm allowed to go to LA. Which, of course, I'm not. They're not gonna. So, not only can I not get the cremated remains of my adopted father, but I also can't go to LA to see with my own eyes, to have the satisfaction of seeing the primary opponent of my life, my fucking cunt of an adopted mother, the box with her remains in it, so I can have peace knowing she's gone, this shit's done, and I can close that chapter of my life in my head and never speak of that cunt again. Because what really should happen, outside of all of the bullshit she ever did, some measure of it being undone with whatever remains of the estate, but also her punishment should be to be forgotten by everybody. She died alone in a fucking nursing home, I believe with dementia, where she's been for like the past year, after she had to be removed from her own home and forcibly put in an old folks home in Simi Valley, because my Aunt Palma stopped by the house that they bought with stolen money from me in 1998. They bought. Palma stopped by that house in Studio City and literally found my adopted mother like in a puddle of her own piss. Because, incontinence getting old. So it's like I said, the whole thing is fucked. And yet, I'm endlessly told all over, social media, men are terrible. Men do this to women. Men do that to women. Go fuck yourselves. So, that's the end of this little fucking rant. Let's see if anybody gives a shit enough to watch it. Whether or not I do another one of these, I doubt it. But there's a lot of fucking stories I should probably put out there. I mean, my son will never be able to watch any of this shit because he doesn't understand nothing. Which is another thing about women. Long story, but yeah. At any rate, I will catch whoever's watching this later.